Welcome to the Weird Works podcast. I'm Dr. Kristy, your host. Join us for conversations about alternative and sometimes controversial healthcare topics. This podcast will provide the evidence that you need in order to make informed decisions about your health, to empower you with the facts that you need to advocate for your health, and to encourage you that there is hope your body heals. Join us from experts from all things weird, as well as the testimonies of people with stories of radical healing who were once told that perhaps their condition was a death sentence, that they would just need to live with it, or that drugs and invasive surgery were the only answer. Let's get into agreement that if there is something natural and non-invasive that could be helpful, that it could be your first option rather than your last resort. Okay, so it's the slippery slope time of year. Actually, the slippery slope began probably in October, and we call it the slippery slope the last quarter of the year because it's like all the excuses, right, to kind of get off your 90-10 program. And most people actually gain weight in the last quarter of the year, but then they're setting themselves up for more work come January. And then the other killer bad news is that 90% of New Year's resolutions fail by February 1st. So it's a time to kind of just think about, like, if you've ever made a New Year's resolution and it had anything to do with improving your health or your fitness, helping your metabolism, meaning losing weight, gaining body mass, lean body mass. Maybe a goal has been to improve your blood labs, anything health related. Health and weight are two of the most common New Year's resolution goals that people make. And so if you've ever made those, and maybe even if you've gotten a little bit of success and a little bit of a running start in the beginning of the year and then fallen off the wagon, it's a good time to reflect of, like, why weren't you able to sustain the results? Or even like, and I don't have to call you out. You guys can interact with me in the chat. You can raise your hands, you can comment and do all the emojis. I think it's fun because then I know you're there and you're listening, or you can just be silent listeners too. But you can tell me if you've ever done that, made a resolution and not stuck to it, or made a resolution and never even got started in the first place. It happens. It's human nature, and there's some science behind it. So this 21-day purification cleanse, I have been recommending it to my patients for at least the last 15 years. And we run it, either you can DIY it or you can do it in a group format with us. It just depends on what you want to accomplish and how much accountability and hand-holding that you need. Groups are always fun because then there's more information and data and sharing, and you guys all like get something from each other. This year, a lot of our cleansers are repeat cleansers. So the cool news is it's not that horrible, meaning people who have done it want to do it again and sign up and pay for it. So it's not torture or anything. But the reason that I recommend this cleanse, there's a couple reasons. Number one, it's by standard process. So I'm going to go over the ingredients and what's in it and also what's not in it, because it's very much in alignment with your individual customized health programs. And it's also not a starvation type of a thing. So sure, with any cleanse, there's going to be lists of foods that you need to avoid because they interfere with the natural cleansing process. That's pretty standard across the board, any cleanse that you research or go and find on your own. But it's so balanced that the second phase, you could actually stay on it indefinitely or until you reach your metabolic or weight loss goals. So I really like it because there's no starvation. People aren't going to be weak and passing out. You're not going to have digestive trouble and have to like cancel your New Year's Eve plans or your social plans or stay close to a toilet. It's very balanced and it's sustainable. And of course, with anything, we're all about sustainable results, and that usually comes from not a quick fix situation. It comes from lifestyle changes. And of course, I feel like Standard Process, that's one of their ethical things that we love them so much, not just for the purity of their products, but because they understand that this is a lifelong journey to restore health and healing. So I'm gonna not ramble the whole time. I'm gonna pull up my PowerPoint so I can kind of share, but you guys are welcome to ask me questions in the chat. I'll do my best to run all the technology and answer your questions. And let's try this out. I was telling the people who logged on early that my Zoom is completely different looking, so I'm gonna do my best to share. It's always like right at the last second, right? You're like, no. Okay, let's see what you guys can see. You guys should see a green slide. Give me a thumbs up or a nod if you see a green slide. Yes, awesome. Okay. Perfect. So you guys have probably heard this quote maybe out of my mouth or something else that you guys all follow. So the first thing is let's establish why do people need to cleanse in the first place. And so this are some common pictures of the world we live in. And so even if we're doing our best to try to avoid chemicals in our food and in the air and water and all the things, sometimes it's outside of our control as far as what's available in the food supply, in the air, and in the water. Okay. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to pull the chat. And this is a funny cartoon. Like, okay, so the people that spray the food are covered in head to toe, gloves, gas masks, etc. But somehow it's safe to put it on the food and for the animals that live in the natural habitats, right? Just starting to get you guys thinking, getting the gears turning here. I know it's after Christmas. But the whole point is that toxins are everywhere. And instead of being paranoid or living in a bubble, it's just important that we're aware that 80,000 chemicals are registered for use in the United States. And we just live in a very chemical world, quite honestly. And so we can do our part, but sometimes the body needs extra help to keep up with the environments that we live in. And then there's going to be some stats and all these numbers and stuff. I'm not going to read these to you, but it's just you can see how much our air, our water, everything is affected by living in a convenient society, right? When we have industrial products and we've got manufacturing facilities, this is the result of it. And it just talks about even like our freshwater supplies, unfortunately, are starting to become contaminated. And so it just tells you like 2.2 billion pounds of pesticides are used every single year in America. And of course, that runs into the water table and goes into our rivers and lakes. And so even when we have spring water, I know that's one of the buzzwords, like, do you really know where your water is coming from when it's bottled and it says spring water? It's probably coming from one of these sources, unfortunately. And then, of course, I'm going to dive really hard into the food side of things because this is one of the things that we have the most control over. When you become knowledgeable, you know what to avoid, and you also know what are healthy substitutions and swaps, as well as where to source your foods in a more, sustainable way that takes care of our body and our health. But there's chemicals in our food. I say food. It's not really food if it has all the chemicals in it, right? And so here is a picture, a slide of the standard American diet, as sad as it might be. So you've got sodas and artificial dyes and colors, trans fats and hydrogenated oils, tons of sugar. There's a sugar slide in here that there's a lot of numbers and data. And I always tell people, like, you don't have to memorize everything that's in here, but the sugar slide is easy to memorize. So I'll show you that in a second about how much we consume compared to what our ancestors consume. And then, of course, there's not just the things we put in our body, but the things we put on our body. So women absorb 5 pounds of chemicals just from their cosmetics every single year. And then down here, it says that the average adult uses 9 personal care products daily. So this is the next thing I'm going to ask you to raise your hand or call yourself out on. I dare you to count from waking up to getting ready to leaving your day, and then maybe throughout the course of your day, depending on what you're doing, or when you're showering or getting ready or going to the gym, who uses more than 9 personal care products? I feel like that's pretty, yeah, I feel like that's pretty conservative number for most people. And then This is a word that you guys can go and look at your labels and see if you see propylene glycol. It's commonly a preservative in personal care products, and it's only one molecule away from antifreeze. So if we wrote words like antifreeze and made it plain and simple and easy to learn and read, the consumer would know, oh my gosh, like I don't want to put that on myself or my baby or my children. Why would they put antifreeze in my personal care products? So it's just becoming educated and knowledgeable. I know somebody had a chat. 5 to 10. That's not bad, but thanks for being honest. And this is Roy is the founder of Standard Process, and he said that the problem with refined food is that it's just calories devoid of nutrition. So this is the standard empty calories, right? Like we're an overfed nation, overfed, like supersized nation, but undernourished, meaning not having quality in the foods that we're eating. So then you can kind of compare nutritional content. So one entire head of broccoli, which obviously has phytonutrients and vitamins and minerals, that's 50 calories versus 1/2 of a Reese's peanut butter cup, not even the whole cup. And also the package doesn't come with one, it comes with two. So this is a quarter of the serving size of a Reese's peanut butter cup. Not a whole lot of nutrition. Maybe somebody could try to convince me about, oh, peanut butter has protein in it. Yes, but these are probably GMO peanuts and high fructose corn syrup and trans fats and all the other yuck that's in there with it. So there's clearly a cleaner source of peanut butter out there with the same amount of calories. So again, knowing what we're consuming. And we're also, have you guys noticed that we're not big on calorie counting? That's not really like our number one way of monitoring your nutritional intake. And that's why, because calories could be void of complete nutritional content, can be very misleading. And this is what we call the sugar roller coaster. And the reason we call it that is because initially when you have it, it makes you feel good. It increases mood and energy because of the insulin spike. But the problem is it doesn't last very long. And so for as high up as you go, as steep as you go, is as steep as you come crashing back down. And when you come crashing back down, you don't like it because you start to feel tired. Your brain stops working. You actually crave more of the same thing. And just like a drug over time, it requires increasingly higher amounts of this drug called sugar to get the same level of effect. And so you'll find that you're consuming it more and more and more. But the long-term effects of this roller coaster is that you gain weight, you actually ruin your hormone balances, and you increase risk of insulin resistance, PCOS, pre-diabetes, full-blown diabetes, and a multitude of inflammatory diseases. So it's not the best source of nutrition anyway. I always laugh at this slide. I'm like, this is obviously a very old slide, but then I'm like, hopefully my audience isn't drinking soft drinks anymore. Once in a while, maybe special occasion, the 10%, right? We teach the 90-10, but sometimes it's not just like, oh, wait, no, it's not a health food or it's not the best choice. But do you realize that it has things like phosphoric acid that actually leaches calcium out of your bones? And if you drink 1 can of soda every day for a year, that would be the equivalent of 16 pounds of sugar consumed. And there's people out there that are drinking like cases of soda every single day. So lots of evidence of why you shouldn't have soda. So does anybody want to guess whether or not soft drinks are on the cleanse or not? Trick question. Can you drink soft drinks on the cleanse? What do you guys think? Of course not. The other thing with sugar, and think about this, like it's cold and flu season, kids going to school, it actually suppresses your immune system. So, does it say how long? Yeah. So if you have a normal serving of sugar, it actually suppresses your immune by 50% for 120 minutes after ingestion. So up to 2 hours later, your immune system is functioning at less than 50% for 2 hours. But what happens if within that 2-hour window you consume sugar again? So people that are having sugar all the time, or they're on that roller coaster and every couple of hours they're trying to catch, go back up the hill kind of a thing, their immune system might not ever be functioning optimally just because of what they're consuming through food or through beverages. And now you look at kids and you wonder why they go back to school and they're always sick. So it's proposed that there really is no such thing as cold and flu season, that it's actually just sugar season, that slippery slope between Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. And you could keep the party going, right? We've got Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter. I mean, it just keeps going, 4th of July. So until you really get control over your food and your diet, then it really is controlling you, whether or not you realize it. Okay, so then trans fats now more commonly are called seed oils. They're not all seed oils, but seed oils is what is the term that's most popularly utilized now, even on social media and different influencers. I think a lot of people are having conversations and discussions about seed oils, but this is what they're talking about. And it's estimated that at least 40%, and I think it's higher, of our foods in the US contain trans fats. That's a ton. And here's some examples of what they're in. Pretty much if you're eating at a restaurant or you're eating something that's in a box or a can sometimes, you really have to check to see the quality of the oils. And I'll also go so far as to tell you that post-COVID, so many more companies are cutting corners and trying to decrease costs, that I'm seeing companies that were some of my tried and true that I would buy on the regular. Like for example, Alexia brand has frozen sweet potato fries and frozen tater tots and those kind of things. And all of a sudden, they have all sorts of trans fats in their ingredient list. And I know for a fact I never would have purchased them prior. So it's really hard to find foods that don't have trans fats, that are pre-prepared or convenience foods. They're out there. You just have to really read the labels. So what's the highest cost to the American healthcare system? And it's actually the obesity epidemic. So people think it's, heart disease and cancer and stroke and some of the other things. While they are expensive, it's actually obesity that costs the most. And that's because obesity is linked to every inflammatory and chronic disease process. And so chronic meaning people could live for decades with the same disease condition, requiring more office visits to the doctors and more prescriptions and medications and the use of invasive procedures. They can live longer with all of that because of pharmaceutical world, while never having gotten to the root of the problem or curing the disease in the first place. I just read a meme the other day. Sometimes you know these things inherently, and then somebody will just say it, tweak it in a little bit different way, and you're like, oh my gosh. So one of the memes that I read the other day said that the pharmaceutical industry, for as long as they've been around, and don't quote me, I don't know exactly how long they've been around, they have never cured a single disease. So is anybody surprised about that? Let's hear it in the chat. Yeah. So they treat symptoms, right? So they just help you manage the symptoms of the disease, but they don't teach you about the disease or the condition or teach you how to get rid of it. So exactly. Exactly. See, you guys are smart cookies. Okay, so the obesity epidemic, these numbers get worse every single year, by the way. So they're a little bit outdated because as soon as we put them on a slide, they become outdated within a number of months. 75% of adults in the United States are overweight, and another 36% of those are obese. So obesity is worse than just being overweight. And it's not just adults. Now 45%, almost half of our children are overweight and 20% are obese. And so we have to be living, breathing examples to today's youth because they're mimicking and learning from us. And this is the super saddest statistic I think ever. This has been around for a while, actually, for at least the last decade, that this is the first generation of children that are thought that will outlive their parents because of obesity related diseases. How sad is that? So take a moment just to think about that and the power behind that. And these are things we have control of, right? Like maybe we can't totally control all that industrial waste and the spray over from pesticide use and some of the effects that we saw earlier on in the slide presentation, but we can definitely change what we eat. And even if you only change 50%, the cumulative effect of that year after year over a lifetime is going to decrease the numbers, our propensity for diseases. Yeah, these poor little kiddos. Some kids don't even know that food actually grows off the land and come from plants. There are kids who actually think that food comes from a box or a can or a package. That's sad. And so here's some of the costs to the healthcare, why it's, how it's related to obesity. And these are some of the Floridian stats now. So those were national stats, and now this is hitting closer to home for our local population. Currently, only 36% of Floridians are at a healthy weight. And you'd think living in the Sunshine State and being able to go outdoors, we're not under a frozen tundra. We don't have to bundle up to get out there or anything like that. Our roads aren't covered in snow and slush and sleet. Like you literally can go outside every day of the year. Maybe if there's not a hurricane or something crazy like that blowing through. So in the current trend, it's thought that by 2030, that's not that far away. We just hit almost 2025. So in 5 more years, that almost 60% of Floridians will be obese. And that includes 6 out of 10 children. And it's preventable is what we want to say. There's power in the word prevention. But that cost just in Florida alone is $34 billion. That's crazy. And that's not even the whole entire nation. So this is a health crisis. Excuse me. Does anybody want to guess if my focus aids, sorry, with the virtual background, you can't see it. I don't know how far to get it out. There we go. Can anybody want to guess if my focus aids are allowed on the cleanse? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a response in the chat. And then tell me why you think it's not going to be allowed on the cleanse. Oh, I gave you the answer. So here's some maps. Like if you're a visual person, you can see that on this graph, the brighter blue color represents the number of people in our country in 1985 that were overweight. And then in 86, you see more of the bright blue. 87, even more. And as we keep going, you can totally see the trends. And these keep getting worse and worse. And eventually they had to add a dark blue color. And before you know it, here's another quiz. What state is that? The last state to be obese, probably because there's just mountains and you can't really there's less people there. But then that state got covered as well. And as we keep going, it just gets worse. And now there's states with over 20% of the population that were overweight as of 1997. And it just keeps going. So now we don't even have any of the light blue colors, and we have states that are over 25% obese. And this is 2005. Now we've got a dark red color of states that have over 30% obesity. So we're not getting any better with all the increased in technology and medications and etc. We're not getting healthier. Our stats aren't getting any better. I'm going to move this little bar if I can. Okay, So these are the ways we get toxins. We either absorb them through our lungs by breathing them in the air, and through our digestive tract in the foods that we eat and the drinks that we consume, and our skin. So our skin is actually our largest organ, and it's permeable on purpose to help you sweat and get rid of toxins, but that can work in the other way. And there was an acupuncturist who I love and admire, and she once told me that she wouldn't recommend, she herself wouldn't put on hers or her kids' skin anything that she wouldn't put in their mouth. So if it wasn't consumable and safe for ingestion, she wouldn't put it on their skin because you absorb it all the same. I was like, wow, that's strict, but also like that makes a lot of sense. Oh, I'm reading your guys's. I'm not surprised. I know. You guys are just super, super smart. But the good news is that these videos are available to people who aren't related to the practice. You guys have a little bit of a fast track because of the 90-10 and your interactions with our practitioners here to be knowledgeable about this. But the average American doesn't have access or know to go and seek out this information. So that's why we were recommending sharing this information with people, because knowledge is power. And the more people know, the more they have power to make healthier choices. So then when we get the toxins in our body, the body has three ways of dealing with them. So one, which is why we're doing the cleanse, is that our fat cells actually absorb them. So our fat cells are actually part of our body's natural protection system, but they're not very metabolically active. So what happens is once the fat cells absorb the toxins, they have a propensity to just get stuck there. It can deposit them in our tissues, so that's like your organs, and it can also remove them. So isn't that cool that we have our own built-in detoxification system? The problem becomes when our body is absorbing toxins at a rate faster than our body's natural detox mechanisms can eliminate them, that they're allowed to start to accumulate and overwhelm our natural detox systems in the body. And so once they accumulate, I think people think of toxins and they think that you're gonna get like an allergic reaction or a rash or something obvious, or you eat a food and you're gonna get digestive upset. But I think a lot of people are surprised at what the symptoms of toxic overload are. It can include weight gain and food cravings, but it also can be fatigue, difficulty sleeping, skin issues, because if your body's other organs of detox are backed up, the last route is to try to detox through the skin. So acne, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, things we see all the time are often the body's inability to detox in the attempt to push it out through the skin. Hormone imbalances, so libido, of course, gastrointestinal pain and inflammation, so joint discomfort, reduced mental clarity. I don't know if there's another slide. Mood should be on here. Autoimmune conditions. Worst case scenario is cancer. Oh yeah, here. I just get ahead of myself. See, I know this presentation inside and out because I've given it for like 15 years. This is one. So the things that people come to us are often related to toxins, and these are things that are kind of systemic, meaning like a medical world doesn't have an awesome answer for it because it's not like an A plus B equals C equation. So these are systemic, meaning it's not so easy to identify. This is also why a medication or a prescription isn't going to help it, because it's a body-wide inflammation process. So increased chemical sensitivities. We have a lot of patients that come in with chemical and food sensitivities. Chronic fatigue, so beyond your average, just like fatigue and lack of mental clarity, but actually like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, mood swings. I don't even know the statistics, what percentage of our population is on psychotropic medications to handle depression and anxiety, when it could actually be because of toxic exposure. So there's another solution for these things. And then forget the kiddos. So cognitive dysfunction, poor memory, learning disorders, inability to concentrate, inability to sit still, hyperactivity, it can all be because of toxins. And these kids are their pediatricians aren't telling them to go on a detox protocol. They're putting them on Ritalin and medications for ADD. Yeah, and then some of your big ones: chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, multiple chemical sensitivities, allergies and asthma, atherosclerosis, which is plaquing of the arteries from cholesterol, and cancer. So all related to toxic exposure. So it's not always obvious. So these are your natural organs of detoxification. We have our lymphatic system. So people always talk about circulatory system. Your lymphatic system is an entire other system for detoxification. And some people, their lymph is really congested and not moving things out well. So some of the protocols that we put patients on helps with that. And also things like a rebounder, dry brushing, the beamer, the ionic foot baths that we have in the office, those are all helpful for lymph management. And then we said circulation, so your traditional blood circulation as well. We talked about the skin, kidney, and liver, your lungs. So if your lungs can breathe in toxins, they also can get rid of it. And then your colon. So the liver, everybody thinks of liver and toxins or liver and drinking. Your liver does over 500 different processes. So if it has that many utilities in the body, how important do you think it is to take care of our liver? Your liver does help with detoxification, but more importantly, methylation. Methylation is a process that helps your body utilize B vitamins and other minerals and cofactors to do these biochemical processes. Your liver is actually where all of your energy, your ATP molecules are made. Your liver also converts cholesterol molecules into hormones. So cholesterol issues, hormone imbalance issues can all be liver related. So there's some examples of liver protection. So people always say like, oh, 21 days, like what can I actually accomplish in 21 days? And there's an old quote that it takes a minimum, and I'm going to say minimum. They used to just say it takes 21 days to make a habit, to create a new habit. Does anybody want to guess how many days it actually is? 90 is a good guess. Yeah, I think it's like 94 actually. So 21, like you're definitely gonna form some new habits, and there's gonna be an accelerated learning curve by doing something for 21 days, and that will get you started. But it takes something more like 90 plus days to actually make it your new normal, right? So we can make and break habits all the time. Every 21 days you could make and break new habits. But remember in the beginning I said, why do I keep coming back to the standard process cleanse every January and throughout the year as well? And it's because you can indefinitely stay on the second phase to hit your 90 days. So some of our patients actually stay on phase 2 until they reach their metabolic goals. And then other people, they'll actually do the cleanse again, cleanses back to back. These are things that we can customize and conversations we can have based on your individual needs. And also towards the end of the cleanse, if we're seeing you virtually or in your normal appointments, we can talk about what you've accomplished in the 21 days and what your ongoing goals are. Okay, but in 21 days, people who have done this can improve their circulation, sleep patterns, hormones start to get balanced. It's funny because a lot of times people come to the group and they're like, my coworkers and family members are asking me what I'm doing. Like they noticeably can see, like, because my eyes are clear, my skin looks more, looks even, my tone and complexion is healthier. People actually can see the inches falling off of patients. So other people get excited. So it's visible. Of course, weight loss. Sometimes it's not even just the scale victories, it's non-scale victories. Sometimes the scale will lie. So for our patients and people who do it with us, we do your body comp throughout the thing because we want to make sure if you're losing weight that you're losing fat and gaining or at least maintaining lean body mass. So if you're just calorie deprived and starving, you'll lose weight, but it'll be your lean body mass you'll lose, which you don't want to do that. So to have the optimal metabolic health, two things need to happen. One is you get rid of that very inactive uh, body fat that stores toxins and stores hormones. And second, that you gain lean body mass. And then your body's metabolism is optimized, and that's when you get sustainable results. So we want to make sure we understand the full body composition. Some people, if they're thin people that don't have a lot of lean body mass and they haven't really ever worked out, they might gain weight on a cleanse. But when you understand the composition, they're losing fat and gaining muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. So the scale will actually say they increased. So see, you just need to know the entire picture, the whole story, not just the weight. Definitely improve digestion and elimination. If you're constipated, you're not detoxing, you're not eliminating toxins, they're recirculating and causing chronic inflammation and other issues. So you've got to be pooping, and this actually helps with that. Reduced allergies, headaches. My dad is always shocked at how much his joint pain goes away when he's on a cleanse. So that's a surprise. And I think another surprise for people is how much their mood improves. Those are two things I don't think people aren't necessarily the main motivators for starting a cleanse in the first place, but then they're shocked at how much better they feel in those categories. So everybody's different. I think a lot of people are doing it to get at least a jump start on their weight loss efforts. And we always say that that's a natural side effect of getting your body and your metabolism normalized. So this is a cleanse. It's not a weight loss program, but people lose weight because that's the healthy effect of getting things in balance and getting rid of inflammation and releasing toxins. So, but let's talk about it because people always want to know what they can expect. It's good to have healthy expectations. The typical weight loss during a 21-day program is anywhere from 8 to 20 pounds. That's typical. And I can tell you that typically men lose more than women. Women are more on the 8-pound end of the range, where men are at the 20-pound end of the range. It's really funny. We've done this so many years with couples, like husbands and wives will do it together. And I always tell the men, do not share your weight loss goals with your wife because she's going to want to punch you in the throat because they just aren't going to lose the same amount because of the, complicated cascade of hormones that our bodies are very different. But to see any change is encouraging. And it's more than weight loss. It's actually, weight loss is a $40 billion industry with a 98% failure rate. So I always just challenge people. Like if your financial planner told you to put your money into a stock that had a 98% failure rate, you'd be like, no way. So then why something that's even more important that has to do with our day-to-day, how we feel and our health and our long-term health, why do we do that for our bodies when we wouldn't do it for our financial portfolio? So again, just some little triggers in here to get you thinking. And of course, we know, like when we just said, like it's a $1 billion plus industry, all these diets, why aren't they working? Well, they're not working because they're not addressing the problem, the root of the problem. So in a traditional diet, if you have a person who is overweight and say these little dots represent the number of toxins or impurities in their body. When you do a traditional diet, you get a smaller person, but you have the same amount of toxic load and you actually have more toxins per body mass. So you actually have a higher percentage of toxin per body mass when you go on a traditional diet. And then remember a while ago, I just told you that your fat cells are your natural protection mechanism, and they hold on to toxins. So the body, in its innate wisdom, it says, "Uh-oh, we have a higher toxic load." And so you rebound, meaning you gain all the weight back because your body tries to protect you from the increased toxic load. And some people do that over and over and over and over again. So, does anybody want to know a more effective way of doing it than traditional dieting? Let's see those hands in the chat. Of course, that's why we're here, Dr. K. Awesome. So cleansing is different. So if you start with the same obese or overweight person with a toxic load, and instead of dieting, this time you cleanse, you actually will lose weight, but you actually have a decrease in the percentage of toxins per body mass. And the body likes this. It says, okay, we've shed pounds, there's no toxins, we don't need to do this rebound thing to take care of the toxic load, and then you can maintain it. Isn't that so simple? Yeah, so when you understand how the body works and you understand your biochemistry, you can do better. I want to see what you guys are saying. The body counts, yeah, so we'll go over the weekly meetings. It just this year it's going to depend on how many people want to do it and are interested in the group. We've done it in person, we've done it virtually. So it just depends on who's joining and how many people and what you guys want. So again, you guys know we're root cause physicians. We want to get to the root cause and we want to customize what's going on for each person. And so to address the real problem, you need to handle the toxins, get rid of them, make healthier choices. And two, we need to have better food choices and quality of food as well. Some of this is on the farmers to grow it in the right way. And then when you do that, your body, voila, can perform the way that it was intelligently designed. That's why we're called health by design. So we've got a lot of issues that are sometimes out of our control, but this again, you guys know I love supplements. These are the reasons why I will go against anyone to say supplementation is absolutely necessary, even with a healthy diet, because the food that we have access to isn't the same quality as the food that our ancestors had access to. And while the quality of our food has decreased and the mineral content has decreased because the soil is no longer able to provide it, at the same time the food has decreased in nutritional content, the amount of stress in our environment and in our work and in our sleep and our daily habits has drastically increased. So we have less available nutrition and more toxic load and more stressors that our bodies are under. It's not a great combination. And so supplementation, the word supplementation is to supplement an already healthy diet and lifestyle. So it's not going to take over. You can't have the standard American diet with the slide that we showed you a couple slides ago and think that you can just supplement your way out of it. You've got to make the changes and supplement because the healthy foods don't have everything that we need either. They're a heck of a lot better and will move the needle a lot further than processed packaged foods, but they still don't have everything we need. And so it's kind of funny, right? Like we clean and maintain everything and we change our filters and we know to wash the outsides of our body, but we don't always focus so much on cleansing and maintaining our internal bodies. And you guys only get one body. You have to live in this body your entire year. You can replace parts and machines and cars and etc. Guess you can replace your teeth if you really want to. That's another whole issue. That's for a dental talk later on. But we need to focus on our internal filters as well. And so here's some nerdy science. You guys don't need to know all of this, but now I want to just start to talk a little bit about how this cleanse is different from other cleanses on the market. I feel like an immediate need to get this information out to you guys this time of year as quickly as possible, because I know that the marketplace is filled with all these like lose weight fast, quick fix, take a pill, lose weight type of promises. And DIY cleansing, ordering a cleanse kit online, as well as a parasite kit, there's a lot that you can research and do yourself for health. But this is one area that I highly discourage people from buying something that they're not knowledgeable about and trying to DIY a cleanse, especially if you don't know what toxins your body is dealing with or how backed up your natural detox organs are. And the reason is because a lot of cleanses will get you to phase 1. It'll get you through phase 1 of detox, and that eliminates toxins, like, kinda liberates them. But if you don't handle phase 2 of detox, the substances from phase 1 are actually more toxic than the toxins that you started with. These byproducts in this conjugation phase is what they call it. And so if you don't have the proper balance of nutrients and support to handle phase 2 of detox, you can get really sick. People literally have ended up in the emergency room, have had allergic reactions, have had hercs and healing crises, and this is why. It's not because the cleanse is bad, it just didn't have the things that they needed. It's not that cleansing is dangerous, it's not that detox is dangerous, it's just that you got started with something without being monitored or without customizing it for your body and not knowing whether or not the program was well balanced. And then phase 3 is elimination, so actually moving it out of the body. So it's 3 phases, and the cleanse handles all of that. So here's what a little kit looks like. Standard Process, they gotta say, they do a really great job bundling it all together for everyone. They have a guide that tells you step by step what to do. That's also available virtual. Excuse me. They have tons of recipes. So they literally tell you step by step what to do. And then we can customize it or have conversations about how to alter it if necessary along the way. Most people could just do it from start to finish the way it was written. So I'm going to back up for a second. So the gist of the cleanse is that you're going to eliminate foods that are possible allergens or cause inflammation, even if they haven't been identified as your food sensitivity. There still could be inflammatory. So we're going to eliminate any inflammatory foods and eat a hypoallergenic type of a diet. We're going to have 1 full meal a day, and snacks are allowed in between as long as they're from the allowable food list. 2 of your meals are going to be replaced with their shakes, and there are a couple of different options. The SP Complete is their standard whey protein shake, and it's available in chocolate and vanilla. Or their Veggie Complete is a vegan shake. There are no vegetables in it, so I don't know, I feel like it's misnamed, but there are pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and pea protein in that one, and that's also available in chocolate or vanilla flavor. You're going to put fiber in your shake. And then there's 2 different supplements that go along with it, SP Cleanse and SP Green Food. And there's a whole schedule of what to take on what days. But you start with the SP Cleanse in the first half, and you move to SP Green Food in the second half to help bind up any of the toxins that your body has released. And then, what else do you need to know about this? We'll go to the next slide and explain it. So it's really fun to go and read what these are. SP Cleanse helps eliminate and support all those organs of detoxification that we showed you on a couple slides ago, but it's all whole food and botanical ingredients. So the same quality that you guys are used to experiencing with your supplements, it's the same. Like when you read the labels, it's all easy to pronounce, easy identifiable food and plant ingredients. And it supports all the organs of detoxification, your digestive system, and the elimination phase. And here's just some of the ingredients. So things identifiable like juniper, apple pectin, burdock, barley, Spanish black radish, fenugreek. And then the cleanse or the shake, excuse me. And that has provides us your protein really. And you can beef these up, so you can take them and just put them with water. You can mix them with any kind of alternative milks that are allowed. Coconut milk is allowed. The almond milk, you can't have nuts on this, but you can have seeds. Some people like to get a blender involved and put like superfoods and fruits and vegetables in theirs. So it's really up to you what you want to do. If you're not feeling full, then you're going to want to get the blender or do like the coconut milk to get some extra fats in there. We have all the solutions and suggestions. The recipe book that comes with this also has a lot of different recipe ideas to inspire you. And these are the ingredients in the SP Complete. And then your fiber, I honestly don't really recommend anybody do the gastro fiber. If anybody's ever had a gassy belly or trouble with the fiber, it's been the gastro fiber, where the whole food fiber, the gastro fiber are pills. Plus people usually complain about the pill content between your normal supplements and adding the supplements that come with the cleanse. It can be a lot. I just tell people bypass the gastro fiber and order the whole food fiber powder. The other nice part about that is that the whole food fiber, you can just go ahead and put it in your shake since you're drinking that twice a day anyway. And here are some of the ingredients in the whole food fiber. So oat, beet, rice bran, carrot, beet, apple pectin, all super healthy stuff. Fibers, people often ask me, like, can I use my own shake? Can I use my own fiber? And I really just say, like, this is 21 days. This is so well balanced, and they've thought of so much as far as all the organs of detoxification and all the support and the phase 1, 2, and 3 to make this so balanced so that people are successful and have the least amount of undesirable detox reactions. And I'm like, if you can just stick with this and then you could maintain with your own fiber or shake afterwards, that would be agreeable. Or if you're really adamant, at least bring me in your shakes and your fiber and let me muscle test them and make sure that they test well for you. I just wouldn't want you to waste your investment or your, time and the amount of effort you're putting in just because you're having a lesser quality product. And this is not the only quality product out there. I'm not saying I'm opposed to other things, but it's just like very carefully curated to make sure everything is accounted for. And then this is the SP Green Food. So once you complete and finish the bottle of SP Cleanse, then you start the SP Green Food and finish that out until the end. That's really going to just complete the detox process and make sure we've handled phase 2 and phase 3. It's also going to put back some of the support that your body needs, because while you're detoxing, you're asking the body to do more jobs. You're requiring more activity and energy from the body. And so it takes different support to do that. So that's what's in the SP Green Food. And lots of green stuff is in the green food, of course, like Brussels sprouts and kale and buckwheat. And that has wheat in it. It's gluten-free. There's no gluten in buckwheat, even though the word wheat is in there. So I just want to address that right away. And then barley, grass, and alfalfa. So it's important to what you don't see on the label. And this is also how Standard Process is different from some of the cleanses or weight loss products out there. There's no stimulants. There's nothing artificial that's gonna help your body, like ephedra. A lot of products have caffeine or ephedra or other types of stimulants in them. There's nothing like that in this. There's no sugars or artificial sweeteners. So it's just stevia and monk fruit that's in the shakes. All you guys who are on standard processed products already, they don't always taste the best. The shakes are very good, but they don't care about, right, on their pills, all the little brown tablets just taste like salty earth, right? That's because standard process are purists. Like, they are not going to put anything that's going to compromise the integrity of their products, even if that means that they're easier to swallow or they taste better. So there's no enhancers in here, but I'm telling you, the shakes are very good. I've tried almost every shake that's out there, and these not only keep you satisfied and keep your cravings down, they taste good and they're also palatable. Like some shakes are just so chalky and horrible. These are actually very good. There's no preservatives, no synthetic vitamins, or vitamin isolates. It's kind of the same thing. There's nothing on there, like, all these artificial things you'll see, like, they'll say, like, 12,000% of the RDA of B12 and folic acid, and you're like, "Okay, why do you need 12,000% of anything?" So when you see those high percentage numbers being boasted on an ingredient label, you can guess that those are synthetic and vitamin isolates, because natural foods don't contain those super high mega doses of nutrition. That's just not how they are in nature. And when you take a nutrient from nature the way it exists naturally, it already has all the cofactors and minerals and things that you need to utilize the nutrition in that plant. And so you don't need mega doses of it in order to absorb it. So that's a sign for your label reading education on how to identify something that's synthetic. There's no GMOs, there's no soy. So even though the shake says vegan, a lot of vegan shakes in the market have soy protein. There is no soy. There's no creatine. Creatine is in a lot of over-the-counter products. There's new thoughts on creatine, but there's a lot of really poor quality creatine out there. And what happens is a lot of athletes use it, and they use it because they'll see a pretty immediate increase in like tone and muscle bulk. But what they found out is in long-term studies that people that are on creatine long-term, because it's not a complete amino acid, they actually are prone to like muscle tears and ligament strains and sprains and like rotator cuff injuries. So they have like all this muscle bulk, but all the connective tissue attachment sites can't handle or support the amount of bulk. That's why you'll see these big jacked bodybuilder types, and then they're out because they have a knee or a rotator cuff tear. And no gluten. So that's good. Here's some misconceptions. I know as people are trying to make a decision whether they want to do this, not only is it like, oh my gosh, block off the calendar for 21 days and make sure that I'm committed and I don't have company or travel or whatever. You still can do this and have a life. Like you will be eating one meal a day. There's even some restaurants that you can get away with cleanse-friendly meals if you're on the run or you work for a living or you entertain clients or customers. You can do it. But, you know, a lot of people think they need to be close to a toilet because they're going to have those type of symptoms. This is not a colon cleanse. It's a full body cellular cleanse. So what that means is like, it's not just directed towards your gastrointestinal tract. It's actually supportive and improves gastrointestinal functions because of some of the support products that are in there. They're worried that they wouldn't be able to work out because they're on a decreased caloric consumption. That's not true. You actually will have increasingly improved energy as the weeks progress on the cleanse. You'll have better muscle recovery for doing the cleanse. But if you are a performance athlete, or you are in a competition of any sort, let's talk. There are ways to modify this so that you don't reduce your muscle mass while you're doing it. So you might just need more doses of the protein, or I might have you skip phase 1, which is more vegan. People say they can't do a cleanse because they all feel too restricted in what they can eat. So, I mean, yes and no. They have the whole guide and all the recipes and all the meal ideas. I think that the best mindset going into something like this is to look at it as an adventure and an opportunity to try new things. And this kind of goes in alignment with the next one. People say they don't like fruits or vegetables, which is going to be the main diet for the first half of the cleanse. If fruits and vegetables and water taste bad to you, that's because your body is very acidic. And these types of fruits and vegetables and drinking water are more alkaline. And what happens in an acidic body is the fruits and vegetables don't taste good to you because your body chemistry is so off. And as that improves over the course of 21 days, things that didn't taste good to you will have a whole new flavor. And so I just encourage people to try to get past that hump because you actually should end up having a more diverse diet by the end of this whole thing. The same with energy to perform their daily responsibilities. You don't have to cancel work or your workouts or your social life to do this. Some people are worried about that they still have to cook for their family. Again, you're still going to be responsible for one meal a day. So maybe your family has two and you have one, or maybe your family, like whatever you're eating, you can cook for your family and then you can add a protein, an animal protein, which you won't be having yourself until day 12. If you're worried about cleansing because of taking medications, this is very safe, but I still would like to talk to you and customize it and monitor you a little more closely if that's the case. So let's talk about what medications you're on and whether or not this is for you if you have any concerns about that. And the same with diabetes and thyroid disease. People have literally reversed diabetes in 21 days. They have gotten their thyroid antibodies improved in 21 days. We've seen all sorts of measurements on lab work, including hemoglobin A1C, glucose, cholesterol, blood fats, all improve, even just in 21 days. It's pretty incredible. But what you can expect on the cleanse is all good stuff. So none of the bad stuff and all of the good stuff. So better weight, increased energy and vitality. These are things also that people who have done it have told us about, not just we're saying or promising. Less bloat, better digestion, clearer skin, shinier hair, improved sleep, clearer thinking. Talked about joint pain, told you about my dad. Improved allergy symptoms. But what's really cool, and in the standard process and health by design fashion, is that you will have a better relationship with food and know how to better manage your food intake and know what your body needs to thrive. This is like cleaning the slate. You'll be starting with a blank slate. And so once your body is cleansed and cleaned out, your body will be better able to tell you when you ingest something that it doesn't appreciate. Where at the moment, you might be just overwhelmed with symptoms and not really knowing what's causing what. So you'll get a much better message and communication with your body about what makes it happy. And that's another reason I really like this cleanse, because if you don't learn about how to read labels and be a smart consumer and where to source your food and how to prepare it and what your options are, you're really no better off at the end of it. And what happens is if there hasn't been a learning curve and new habits developed and new knowledge implemented, you'll just naturally default back to what you know, which is what got you in an inflamed, state in the first place. So it's really this relationship with food. This is a really important component of it. So here's the layout. Again, I kind of went over this a little bit ago. Day 1 through 10, you're just going to want to eat as much organic fruit and vegetables, green leafy vegetables. Always keeping in mind to have twice as many vegetables as fruit, because especially if you're wanting to lose weight, if that's one of your primary goals, that's important, because sometimes when people get rid of all the carby and starchy foods, they have a tendency to overdo the fruit. Like all of a sudden all their sugar intake comes from fruit. So if you're not losing weight, sometimes we look at your food log and we're like, okay, just decrease the fruit. But if you keep that ratio, you'll be good. You're going to drink lots and lots of water. Your carbs will come from by way of lentils, quinoa, and raw seeds. So no pasta or grains, no nuts. You're going to have high quality oil. And they do recommend exercise because you have energy to do that. That's days 1 through 10. Then on day 11, if you choose, you can add the animal protein back in. And that can be lean protein. They added beef as long as it's grass-fed organic beef, because it's not inflammatory. That's kind of the general layout. There's much more details in the guide that you'll get and food list, like suggested food list of what you can go shopping for to give you inspiration. And then your supplement list, you're gonna do your shakes, 2 to 3 shakes a day, including your fiber, and you're gonna take SP cleanse. You're gonna take 7 capsules 3 times a day. So you'll consume an entire bottle in a week. And then on day 8, you go onto the SP green food and you're going to do 5 capsules twice a day. And they say you can add them to your shakes too. It might not taste the best, but you can. And then the not so popular slide, what to avoid. So, no seed oils or hydrogenated oils, no caffeine or alcohol, because that works against you. So if you know what date you're going to start this on, it's recommended to start weaning off of caffeine, like go half cap, a quarter, until you're doing none. We already talked about no soda, no foods that could be inflammatory, like nuts. There's no beans on it. Some people are surprised that there's no beans. Beans are actually high carb. They're actually a 1-to-1 ratio of carbs and protein, but they're hard to digest. It's really hard for the digestive system. So the thing with cleansing is you want to eat foods that are easy to digest and unburden your digestive system, because your body doesn't do a great job of digesting and detoxing at the same time. So we're going to have all easy to digest foods during this 21-day process. You want fresh fruits and vegetables, not canned or dried. And then when you can have animal protein, it just has to be real meat, not cured, smoked, or lynched meat. Here's just some of the cool evidence of decreased cholesterol and decreased triglycerides. This person was 263 cholesterol, and after, oh, gotta go back. Go backwards. And then they went down to, hard to read it. Oh, 178. That's drastic. That's amazing. This person had a cholesterol of 344, triglycerides of 787, definitely a stroke risk. And they went down to, from April 9th to May 7th, cholesterol of 182 and triglycerides of 108. That's how fast you can change these numbers, you guys. These are not death sentence numbers. You have to have it for all, or medication is the only solution. Just with some simple changes that are sustainable changes, you can really affect your blood labs. And here's some before and after pictures. It's like people, you can, not only is he a wider person, but he's hiding behind his son. So these people tend to like have lack of confidence and not feeling great. And then after, he's standing in the middle of the shot all by himself. His skin even looks better and more glowy. Of course, it's obvious his waistline and stuff, but his general tone and appearance looks better. Big toothy grin. This was a before. She was 240 pounds. And after 162. That's long term. Like, she continued to do the cleanse, like after, and maintain phase 2, but complete health transformation. Really super cool. Connie was the standard process, also has like a contest that you guys will get entered into by participating with us. And she said it's never too late to improve your life. And then this year, I promised I would talk about the incorporation of the peptides. There's a whole separate talk and presentation on these peptides if you want to dive deeper on our YouTube channel, as well as on our Weird Works podcast. So you can go back. I stole a few slides from there just to talk about incorporating it. So this year you have the option, you can do the 21-day cleanse the way we've been running it from start to finish, either DIYing it with the booklet or in the group that we're trying to form. We're to see how many people get interested in doing the group. And you can run it and you'll get amazing results. That's what I've shared up until this point that involves just the cleanse and what we've experienced. Whether you're a new cleanser or you're a repeat cleanser, this year, because we have these amazing new peptide products, you can supercharge your cleanse by adding the peptides at the same time. So why would you do that? Number one, if you've done the cleanse already and you have a general idea of what your progress is and how much you lose and what you feel like after, and you want to take that to the next level, the peptides can help you do that. If you're somebody who has done the cleanse and you got really great results, but then you found that you just slowly over the year gained some of the weight back and went a little bit backwards, the peptides can help you have a more drastic body composition change, which will be more sustainable. Because remember, I told you two things need to happen to have the ultimate metabolic health. Number one is you need to get rid of the stagnant fat cells that are just holding toxins and holding excess hormones. And number two is you need to get increased lean body mass, because lean body mass, meaning muscle, is the gift that keeps on giving. That's more metabolically active, you burn more calories, and the statistics across the board for decreased disease risk drastically decrease with the increase in lean body mass. So it's something that's super important. There's two peptides. One is called lean, and lean helps your body break down and get rid of the fat cells. This is also a really important product for people who have a lot of food cravings and hear a lot of food noise. So even with your best intentions, you kind of obsess about when your next meal is coming, or you're a habitual snacker, or if you eat, you tend to go and have a second and or third helping of food. Like, food is basically, the idea of food and the thoughts of food are always running in the background of your mind. This can help with that, which is an amazing side effect of the peptides that we weren't expecting. And increase energy. So that's what lean does. Here's some of the clinical trials and the claims of people using the peptide. Now, this is just the peptide without the cleanse. So when we combine the two, you can really magnify the effects of the cleanse, the 21-day cleanse, as well as the peptides. So that's why we're saying you could supercharge the cleanse if you decide to. But all with the peptides, 100% of the weight loss was from fat and fat around the trunk, which is the hardest, most insulin resistant fat to lose. People lost 2 inches average for their waist circumference. And what was cool was that people continued to lose the weight and reduce body fat up to 20 weeks after the discontinuation of supplementation, which we can talk about how long you should be on these things too. So that's lean. That's one peptide that you can add in conjunction with the 21-day cleanse. The other peptide is called FIT. And FIT helps your body make muscle, increases muscle production, decreases muscle breakdown. So if you're an athlete, this is really great for your endurance and muscle recovery after performance or exercise. It also helps your body utilize the protein you eat more effectively. So for all the effort that you're doing in the 21 days to increase with shakes and get really clean protein sources, you'll absolutely absorb and utilize it in a much more effective and efficient way. So that's FIT. So lean helps you lose fat. It does a lot of things, but to make it very basic, lean helps you if you want extra help burning fat, not just losing weight. And FIT helps you gain muscle. Some people do all of it at the same time. Some people take the FIT and lean together. Some people, because of money or wanting to just be scientific about knowing what their body's responding to, might cycle through a couple of months of the lean to lose fat, and once they get their desired effects, then might do a cycle of a few months of the FIT to then work on lean body mass as the next phase. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just like, if you want to go all in, this is how to get the maximum optimal results that are the most sustainable long-term to change your metabolism for good. And here's some of the clinical claims and trials on the FIT. So 54.3 reduction in lean muscle loss. We lose 2% of muscle every decade that we're alive. So we know we lose muscle mass, or it becomes even more difficult to gain and maintain muscle mass as we age. And 47% reduction in muscular fatigue, 54% increase in performance, 144% increase in muscle strength recovery rate. So some really super cool statistics on those peptides. And then just one last point, because we have patients coming in now. One last point is that this is very different between the GLP medications. I highly encourage anybody who's considered GLP-1 antagonist medications like semaglutides, Ozempic, Mounjaro, tirzepatides, etc., or even if you're on it, no shame, this isn't calling you out, but I really am adamant that people need the education that they're not getting from the prescribers in order to make an informed decision. So if I can talk you out of going on them in the first place by telling you that there's a safer, more natural, as or better effective product out there, that you could at least know about it and consider it. And B, if you're on these medications, you can't be on them forever. It's not safe. They're not designed for long-term use. A lot of people are having trouble getting off of them and maintaining the results that they've gotten. And that actually sets you up for a worse metabolic overall outlook and picture and presentation in your body than you probably initially started with. And the doctors aren't telling you that when you make the decision to get on them. But these peptides work differently. They actually help you burn fat and control appetite. GLP-1s do nothing for fat loss. They actually cause you to lose muscle, and this is the exact opposite. So people are a worse off metabolic situation. Remember, I told you 2 things need to happen to have optimal metabolic health. 1 is that you lose fat, and 2 is that you gain muscle. What the research shows about long-term use of these GLP-1 antagonists, or even short-term use, I shouldn't even just say long-term use at all of it, is that people actually lose muscle and they're flabby. So they're skinny fat. And skinny fat means that your body stores toxins, has more hormone issues, and has a slower overall metabolism. And you will be having more difficulty maintaining a healthy metabolism and or weight as a result of being on these medications. And these peptides can actually help you get off of them and reverse that issue that you weren't informed of. So that's my public health announcement on GLP-1s and the peptides. I'm going to quickly go in and answer any of the questions that are on the chat. So I'm going to stop the screen share. And let's see what you guys have been busy writing. Sorry, when I'm sharing the screen, I can't see the chat easily. Okay. What about people that don't like foods for texture? Well, you have the option. I mean, you can blend, you can put these in food processors, you can have them frozen, you can have them raw. You've got a lot of different options. So yeah, I know I talked about your palate and like how things taste. It's not always about that. Sometimes it's about the textures. But what I would encourage you to do is explore the list of allowable foods and find some of the things that you can find. You guys didn't, oh, you were blown away about the fact about the acidic body chemistry. Yeah, for sure. There was a really cool study. Juice Plus did it decades ago, and they showed that like kids who refused to eat their vegetables, instead of the moms having to like fight with them and convince them that they have to eat them, or like sometimes bargaining with them and bribing them and doing what they can to get them to eat vegetables. Juice Plus, just by taking this daily serving, it could be in pills or in gummies of chewing them. They had the daily serving in a condensed gummy form of the fruits and vegetables. And what they found is that after a year or so of kids supplementing the Juice Plus, that they would naturally choose fruits and vegetables on their own. So it was like such a cool way to get kids to make their own decision, because they changed their chemistry and their acidity levels, and fruits and vegetables suddenly tasted good. Like a sweet potato tastes like pie to me, you guys. Like it's like a dessert. One other question was, why do you only take the cleanse capsules for 7 days, but food restrictions last to day 10? I know, it's just a different schedule. It's just the way it was designed as far as different biochemistry and how long it takes to utilize the different nutrients and get through phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3. I don't totally know why, but you're absolutely right. And that's a good point. When you get your guide, the dates don't line up. So you'll switch over from the SP cleanse to the SP green food on a different day, then you're allowed to add the lean protein back in. You know what's funny? I think everybody thinks that they're inherently going to be like just waiting to the day that they can add animal protein. Some people actually find that they don't need to have as much animal protein as they thought they did. And that their appetite is fine, like they can sustain the vegan portion longer. So again, like I said in the beginning, it's just something to encourage you to explore new things while you're on this journey. You know, try new ingredients, find things that you might like, expand your food vocabulary, so to speak, add new things to your pantry, add new recipes that can be your new favorite go-tos so that you have a more diverse diet when you get done with it. Okay, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for interacting with me. So that is everything. If you want, you can call the office for ordering instructions. Miss Sandy can get your kits and go through the fiber and the protein shake options for you. And if you're interested in the peptides, we can either create an account and have them shipped to you, or we can send you a link. So if you guys want me to send you a link, go ahead and put your info in the chat because I can save it. Just give me your email address if you want me to send you the peptide link, and then the rest you'll just call Miss Sandy and order your kit. All right. Very good, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Happy New Year. Hope you have a your best, healthiest 2025, and I will see you all very soon.